Just when you were talking about the tests and coming back to a bit of what we were talking about before.
Yes.
I find with grades, we're grades like 7th and 8th grade class, which
Please.
is what I teach. Grades become very important to students,
Yes.
especially if they're applying out to go to boarding school
Sure.
or college. And students are very aware of where they stand within their class. And so they kind of scorn upon differentiated instruction because it's not fair. Why is that student getting an A when clearly, I'm smarter because I could get 100 on the test. He or she can't. Now he's taking the test orally, verbally. So
Right.
that whole grade piece, I feel like
So
really skews all
I agree with you 100%. I think differentiation sits in stark contrast at times with a system which is very powerful. And that system that is very powerful is sort of what we call a standardized system. It tries to measure everybody by certain benchmarks. And it tries to do that because, for example, on the university level, they're looking for certain students who can achieve at a particular level based on the rigor that they have established as their baseline, their standard. And so a child who comes through the system who has not been given that level of engagement but is still performing to that level of expectation, how does that line up with? And that's a question I don't think I'm smart enough or certainly more powerful enough to address in a comprehensive way. But the part that I think I can address, and I'll try to do it quickly because we do have to move forward, is that fairness is a relative term. I would counter to say the opposite in a way. Is it fair for me to utilize, for example, one form of instruction for the roughly 30 learners we have in this room? Now granted, everybody here is mature adult, you chose to be here, right? There's certain factors that might level the playing field a little bit, but the reality is there's a certain lack of fairness inherently in any situation. And so the more that you can impress upon your students that fairness is defined as giving you what you need and can handle in order to take you and your, let's call it God-given talents and abilities and bring them to that next level, then you're really trying to be as fair as possible considering circumstances. It's a longer philosophical conversation, clearly, and we could spend a lot of time on what fairness really looks like. But to take 20, 25, maybe even less students in a room and say, here's your instruction for everybody, here's the standard expectation for everybody, you could certainly challenge that assumption as well. And so from a child's perspective, it might fall a little bit on deaf ears. I know that they're going to have a hard time with it. The more they hear it, I think the more accepting they'll be of the concept. But at the same time, what you want to tell the students is, I'm not here to give you more to punish you. I'm here to give you more because I want you to fulfill your potential. And the more they hear it in those terms, I think they'll be more willing to at least accept it rather than fight you constantly on it.